Try and configure if we want to follow the setup from Max Cruise. Again, very, very rough, just like throwing pieces together.
Yep. Man, this thing's so much easier versus hot glue and little chunks of wood.
Do you like our toilet setup? Everything's from Amazon these days.
After 8 years of the nomadic life, involving crossing oceans in a 34-foot Sabre, refitting an aluminum boat, and then taking that to the Arctic Circle, we're back at it again with a brand new build. This is Matt and I'm Jessica. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and join us every week as we start our newest project of building a 42-foot catamaran from the ground up.
So I did something kind of fun recently, and that is to make myself an official lady. So henceforth, you may now refer to me as Lady Jessica in all of the comments. And I did that with the help of today's sponsor, which is Established Titles. Based on historic Scottish custom, landowners are referred to as lairds, or lords and ladies in English. And by purchasing as little as 1 square foot of dedicated land, you can call yourself a lord or lady. You can put that into things like your credit card, plane tickets, or even a dating profile. Anytime you use Mr. or Mrs., just swap that out for your new title. So not only is that, well, cool, but the important part is that with every purchase, Established Titles will plant a tree to combat deforestation and preserve the beautiful Scottish woodlands. You may remember that 3 years ago, Matt and I sailed our aluminum boat through Scotland via the Caledonian Canal and even anchored in Loch Ness for his birthday. We fell in love with the scenery and the culture, so anything that preserves the pristine woodlands gets an A in my book. Not only is it a great last-minute gift for anyone important in your life, but at the moment they're running a Valentine's Day special where if you use the code MJSailing, you'll get an additional 10% off any purchase. So if you're looking for the perfect gift, and they do have couples plots right next to each other, and you want to contribute to a great cause, go to establishedtitles/MJSailing to learn more.
Now that we're beginning to lay out the interior of our boat, we thought we could start in each hull side and eventually work our way up toward the bridge deck. But without initially planning to, we ended up pulling out all the pieces of foam core which would eventually make up our furniture in the galley and salon, even though we don't plan to begin work in those areas for another 5 to 6 months. There are some modifications we'll be making to our version of the Max Cruise versus the production version, but we thought changes in one spot would not impact the others. But that is where we were wrong. So debating on our cabinet space in the owner's hull meant we now needed to lay out the bridge deck in order to see how one might impact the other.
So this is a very, very rough layout as we try and configure if we want to follow the setup from Max Cruise, because as we start to work down in the hulls, we realize that things that we're doing could affect the space coming back here, like if we want to make that closet bigger. So we've decided to put things in, and right now it looks like, the stairs will be just a little bit further over this way.
Nope, it'll actually be that. Yep, but they'll just extend a little bit further.
Yep.
Yep, so a little bit there. This will be the start of a panel. So right here. Here's our stair width coming down. This will extend out kind of in an angle here for storage, entertainment center. This floor will extend out here then as well. This area over here is where the nav desk is. This floor extends out as well here, so it's going to be even with this, getting that extra space there, and then the nav desk sits right there with the current design.
Yep. And then as you can tell where the nav desk ends, again, very, very rough, just like throwing pieces together.
Yep, these are not clamped into place, they're not aligned properly, anything.
Settee is here.
Sorry, walk in front.
Table would be right there, and then this space is basically just like, it would be under the galley counter, so that would be like probably fridge
the back
and
of the
counters.
Settee here, and then, fridge, sink, or fridge sink.
But this is our galley space, which is a little bit different than others. So we have one linear counter that runs pretty much like the length here. This is the space between the sill and the beginning of the galley.
And then on the opposite side, this is also going to be extending to those bulkheads,
Yeah.
is another counter.
Again, these aren't
Anywhere close to
anywhere close to the right areas, but this is just quick mock-up. This is the first time we've done this. The mock-up of this, just trying to get a visual of it. And for the next day or two, we'll go through and align things properly and kind of just see how everything works together. And then we'll start making decisions on the owner's hall as to exactly how we're going to lay that out.
I'm going to get another bird's eye view of this. And there you have it.
Oh man, this thing's so much easier.
What is?
Using this template versus the old-fashioned way. Yeah, having to. I mean, it does give a more accurate template with using the hot glue and little chunks of wood, but I mean that's good enough for what we're doing.
Today is one of those days where I'm kind of doing behind the scenes things of video editing, and usually when I'm doing that, Matt is in the boat kind of fitting and cutting pieces. Again, now that we have all of the decks on and the windows on, it's kind of getting into cabinetry and different webbing and structural pieces. So today he's asked me in for a little consultation because we are figuring out what we are going to do in our master vanity and head area. Cannot wait till we have stairs.
There is stairs.
I mean, yeah, sorry, stairs without extension cords.
Oh, now you're just being picky.
Now I am being picky.
Yeah.
All right, so we are walking past Bulkhead 4 now into what's going to be our vanity. And do you like our toilet setup?
Isn't that pretty?
Everything's from Amazon these days.
Oh my god. It is trying to plan this stuff out is making it so difficult because without knowing exactly where we're going to be angle-wise for the head and how that's going to open and all that kind of stuff and the height of it and all that impacts everything else. So it's been a little bit of struggle, and that's kind of what we're trying to figure out right now.
Okay, so I see that you've cut up some different pieces are fitting. What are we kind of looking at?
We got to figure out if we want how we're going to do this structure here with the face that's going to be here, the cabinets, if we want sliding doors opening up into these two spots.
Okay.
If we want twin opening doors, or if we want to put a border around of the actual, like the foam board, and I guess that'd be white then, do you think? Would that be the best?
Yeah, okay,
Yep.
So the way that we've decided it, so we've got the toilet down here, so obviously like we're not going to have like a vanity, so the sink counter is going to be here.
Yep, so roughly 36 inches is right about here, so that's normal cabinet height or
Okay.
countertop height. And so then if we do the depth and have it come to right about here, so that's 16 inches deep. For the counter, the big question is, do you want the counter to be angled and then come to a flat, or have it run in line with a bulkhead? But even this bulkhead is not structural, so we can move it here, we can move it there. You'd have a white frame basically around this whole area. If we reduce that area here, would you want white frame in the middle then too? Splitting up the mirror vanity and
I guess it
doors around that
depends
side?
on if we do sliding doors or opening doors.
Okay, well, I mean, I guess we don't have to make that part of the decision right now.
So the toilet is at an angle here.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that there's like still room on the
clearance.
inside of it so
Yeah.
that like if the counter is at an angle, you're not like leaning up against a wall when you're going to the bathroom. So
Well, I
like what are the
think
different options if you
we
pull?
really need to get our toilet decided and get it here so we can then fit it to the space and fit the angle, because I'm not 100% sure. This is based on one generic toilet design. I believe
So
that's gonna be
basically,
the best
yeah, we
design for
need
that.
to figure out the toilet
Yep.
before we can figure out the
Yeah.
counter.
So regardless, it's gonna have I need to make a bulkhead for this side of the cabinet. It runs up against this,
Okay.
so then this will be least give you kind of an idea of where the back edge will be. So that's kind of the back edge of it. We can put it deeper in there if we want to, if we want more depth here.
Okay.
And then, we haven't discussed this yet, but the plan is we have to cut this strip. I cut this bulkhead too low.
Yeah, try walking into it and
yeah.
show them. Yeah, a little bit
little too low.
Way too
The plans call it's 150 millimeters from the top down. We measured, originally when we did this, we measured from the bottom up, and we trimmed off a lot more of the bulkhead than we thought at the bottom. We didn't realize that curve in there was just kind of roughed in. So it was our fault for not measuring it right. So when we put this in place, it's all straight and everything, but it's just the wrong spot. So we need to cut this back anyway and redo that unidirectional in here. And in doing so, I think what we're gonna do is cut it out a little bit further up this edge along here and have the countertop, not the full width of the countertop, but have it reduced to maybe half height through here and have that come into this area. It's gonna open up the looks of this area by having that extra depth there. It's gonna help once this is higher and we square off the edge, because it's gonna be rounded in the back part of it. And there'll be unidirectional that will run in there, so the strength still there's not a problem with that. But the front edge of it will be square, and I think it'll look more like it's cabinetry then, running this way. And then this part will be cabinet here, but again, there'll be that 8-inch shelf that will run this way. And then the shower head will sit right here, basically facing aft or facing forward. So we're opening that. It's just deciding as to how we're going to finish off that edge, if it's gonna be obvious, or if we're gonna try to blend that in to make it look like it's part of the cabinet. Hard to explain.
But eventually you'll see
Tune
it.
in a year from now and we may actually have it so you can see what it looks like. So we need to make another bulkhead, our bulkhead here, that's going to be the edge of the counter in this area, and then the back of the cabinet that runs this way. Do we make that then a obvious bulkhead, or do we make it look like it's part of the cabinet? Like, do we veneer that side? The negative of that is you're veneered in the shower, which is not a good plan
Yeah, we
at
don't
all.
want a veneered shower.
So we would want this to be painted, this edge of it and this edge, because the counter will come then, cabinet will probably start about this point here and come up. Shower will be mounted to that. We don't want that veneered either.
No.
So do we make that like a white bulkhead then? And
Yeah,
then
I think
frame out the doors and
I
stuff?
think the forward facing edge should be white because that's basically gonna be part of our shower.
Yep.
So now we just need to take all these thoughts and make them happen.
We've been bouncing around ideas for a year and a half and going through the boat show, the Annapolis Boat Show again, and getting on board a bunch of different boats. So of course we went through and figured out the things we liked, things we didn't like, and trying to come up with a plan that works all together. We pull up some ideas from this boat, we pull up some ideas from this boat, and they may not blend in well together. So it's
Or we may
trying
not have
to-
the space that the boat's.
Yeah, or we don't have the
we're not a
space.
52-foot boat.
Our boat just isn't laid out the same way. There's like 100 different reasons why some things work and some areas don't. It's real difficult to go through and visualize all of that stuff. And we're fixed by certain things. These are structural pieces, so we can't completely eliminate that because we want a big walk-in bathroom. We've got to change that around, and that's been basically every single night is going through CAD and going through these different plans and laying this stuff out as much as possible. But it really takes getting in the area, like right now, looking at it and
I'm
trying
kind of
to
temporarily
figure-
setting
trying to
things
figure
out
what looks,
to see how they fit in the space.
looks the best.
So lots
So I mean, is
to
that
work
the
with.
plan, you think? Is that gonna be the best bet?
From where I'm standing right now, it is.
Well, don't go and change it.
Okay, you have me on camera saying that's the
Okay,
plan.
Yeah, because once I start cutting into things, it's very difficult to undo. And now that we have a plan, I can actually start working on this and hopefully get these templates made and cut out, and then we'll just prep it, bond it in place, and that will be just a really good start on finishing off this area. Cabinet doors, all that kind of stuff will come much later, but this at least will help define that area, get us all set there, and we can then plan out all the million of other things that need to go on in this area, water runs, for plumbing and electrical and all that kind of stuff, but we just really need that structure in place now. things. They're just little 90-degree clamps. Perfect for this setup because you don't need anything real permanent. Just need to kind of hold it in place. That. And there we go. Kind of holds it right in there. So I think that's held well enough that now I can kind of set up my upper structure here. Should be. Okay, now kind of template. That's really the fun of working with this foam composite pieces is the template can be fairly rough because it's easy to cut back and trim to make it the final fit work really well versus plywood or anything like that where it just requires a lot more. Normally what we'd use is basically like battens, thin pieces of wood. It's what we did on Elements for doing all that kind of stuff. So thin pieces of wood that we would then use either screws or nails or a hot glue gun and kind of bond those pieces into the shape we need. Well, I can do that on this, but it does take typically more time, and because we have everything, most of the structure is all square and plumb, it's actually fairly easy to find a lot of these lines because they are running parallel or perpendicular to each other.
Like a drug that I just can't deny, giving me the best high. My body's shaking every time you get into my mind. Like a fire, burning wild.
That's kind of it.
Take me far away in the dark. Only you can show me how to come alive. I feel shivers down my spine.
Okay, so this template got me from what's going to be our bottom edge. This is going to be the side, bottom edge to obviously that position. So what I need to do now is go from the back of the cabinet, use that as a straight edge, and then get that angle from there. It's probably going to be close to straight, but we'll find out.
The sun is rising, but I don't wanna stop. I can never get enough.
That's roughly it, I guess. This good. In place.
Take me far away in the dark. Only you can show me how to come alive. I feel shivers down my spine. I've been waiting for a long time. So I need to make your mind think I want you in my blood.
Well, first mistake I see, I trimmed this out and angled it, thinking that this part of the wall was actually kind of a compound angle through here, and I shouldn't have. Apparently, it's more flat than I thought it was. And then also, I am just the smallest bit tall, so I need to trim up in that area. I need to trim down here for that to fit, which is easy enough to do. The cove where it's glassed in the back where that bulkhead is, kind of rounded cove, I didn't cut that out, so of course it's not sitting in there the way it should. It's hot. Yeah. I'm gonna have some filling to do around here and right in there, but on this back side, it is fitting much flusher there, so it's not a big deal at all. That'll just get filled in. Beauty of working with this, because this is getting fiberglass anyway, coved in fiberglass, just going right over the top of that, not a big deal at all. I just need to get a little looser back there, because right now it's pressing in and pushing up, and we don't want that. And it is nowhere near plumb. That's pretty close, actually. Just seeing what you can see. So if you look here, you can see it's tight through this section, so I need to trim that down, and then it'll be allow the rest of this to fit, so it's actually flush with that. Again, that's that little part that I thought I need to cut this angle in it, but I didn't, so I'll have to fill that back in with some foam, glass over all that. Not a big deal there. And then back here, where it's our two pieces, flanges came together, that little bit will get filled in, and not a problem there. Over on this side, you can see it does fit much tighter in here. And when we cove that and glass it, it'll be good to go there. And that is the beauty of working with something that you have made level, square, plumb, everywhere you possibly can, because now when templating something like this, again, all I needed to do was just get that curve in there, because I knew everything else was, at least within reason, was square to each other. It's awesome, it makes it so much easier, and all that extra work that we did before is now paying off when we're doing stuff like this.